Hi, my name is Chris Ackley with the Financial Aid Office at Dickinson College, here to give you some information about our net price calculator. A very common question we get in our office is, what is it going to cost for my child to attend your school next year? My first question back to those parents is typically, well, have you tried using our net price calculator? And the frequent response I get from them is, well, what is the net price calculator and how do I find it? So real quick, if you go to our Dickinson College website, I'll show you how to find it. And you simply click on the link up top for tuition and aid. Go down to where it says financial aid resources. And then at the bottom, you'll see net price calculator. Click on the link. Some information about what it's useful for, and how to contact our office if you have questions. Get started here. You're going to want to click on that link. On this page, be sure to read it very carefully. So who can use it? Anybody that's a United States citizen can use this. It does not work at all if you are an international student, and it does not work well if your parents are divorced or separated. The net price calculator is essentially just a tool that's going to help prospective students gauge where they stand in terms of determining their eligibility for need-based financial aid. What does need-based mean? Well, there's an equation, which is simply the cost of attendance minus the estimated family contribution equals your eligibility for need-based aid. And I'm going to take you through the calculator and highlight some of the most important things that get overlooked. So to get started with the net price calculator, you have two options. You can enter as a guest or you can sign in. This is going to be page 1. And the first important thing to notice is at the top, it says student information. So when it asks, what is your first name, your is referring to the student, not the parent. Page 2, we'll get into parent information and we'll show you the difference there. And all this is basic, simple information about name, age, where you live, zip code, etc., etc., etc. So I clicked on next. I'm looking at my page 2. Now you can see it says parent household. We're now talking about parent information. Marital status, older parent's year of birth, state of residence, how many siblings do you have, and your tax form for the most recent tax year. With siblings and sibling ages, this is important because the number attending full-time undergraduate college does make a difference in your need-based financial aid. Dickinson does not count graduate or part-time students as family members in college when determining eligibility for Dickinson grant aid. One important thing that will help is putting together a 4-year plan for yourself. If you have 2 kids that are going to be in college next year, but in 3 years you're only going to have 1 kid in college, you might want to go back to this calculator and see how the number in college will affect your need-based financial aid. The opposite is true. If this year you have 1 in college, but in 2 years you're going to have 3 in college. So essentially what you're doing is creating what-if scenarios just to see how your future financial strength of your family is going to impact your award. So different what-if scenarios could be number in college, obviously. What if I get a significant pay raise? What if I win the lottery? So play with those numbers and see how it affects the final results. Next page, we're going to parent income. Most of this is straight off your most recent tax returns. And your most recent tax returns are going to be extremely helpful here, but you need to be careful because again, we're talking about estimates. So if I'm talking about my student coming in here next year, but I'm using last year's taxes, and my financial situation last year was totally different than my financial situation this current year, you may not get an accurate estimate. So you might want it, in this screen particularly, put in your current estimates. If you don't know specifically what these things mean, I highly recommend, and I would recommend that even if you do know what they mean, click on the question mark. It's going to tell you exactly where to look for this information. So if you're not sure, for example, what non-taxable retirement plans refers to, click on the question mark. Total income adjustments. This is one of the biggest mistakes we see. Make sure it's your total income adjustments, which is down here at the bottom of your 1040, not your adjusted gross income, You want your income adjustments, which is very different. A lot of people put their AGI in there, which wipes out their income. And a helpful tip when you do get down to non-taxable retirement plans, I would recommend pulling out your W-2s, look in box 12, and look for codes D, E, F, G, H, and S. You will want to put those amounts in this space. If you're a business owner, make sure you look at line 28 on your 1040 tax return where it has self-employed, SEP, simple, and qualified plans. You're going to want to enter that number in here as well. Again, if you don't know what things mean, click on the question mark. If you do know what things mean, click on the question mark just to be sure. Okay, now we're on to the parent assets page. This is where you want to be careful and realize that the estimate that's going to be produced is only going to be as accurate as the information you provide. So please make sure that if you have cash, savings, checking account, you put that money in here. If you have investments, you do not include retirement funds. If you're not sure what to include, click on the question mark. And I will tell you investments is a good one to make sure you click on the question mark because we have a lot of questions regarding this as to what to include, specifically 529 prepaid tuition or college savings plan money. Do you have a house? What do you owe on the house? Do you have a business? Do you have a farm? And what do you expect to pay in medical and dental expenses that were not covered by insurance? Next, I head back to student information, student finances. How much did the student earn from work? What kind of assets do they currently have? Does the student have a trust with which he or she is a beneficiary? Very important. If you don't know whether or not they have a trust in their name, it's good to find that out because this can make a difference. So again, please be as accurate as possible when you're entering this information. When you click submit and calculate, it's going to ask you whether or not you want to save your data or do not save. I've already saved it. After I click on calculate, it gives me my estimated net price for academic year. Cost of attendance is at the top. This is the estimated grant or gift aid and estimated self-help. The calculator is not designed to estimate eligibility for our merit scholarships, which are competitive and are awarded by the admissions committee at the time of admission. Now this award would be specific only to Dickinson. Please be sure to print off your summary and keep it for your records. And please remember that it's still just an estimate. The actual award is determined when the student will apply to Dickinson College and fills out the CSS profile and later the FAFSA. To go back and continue working on this, just to create different what-if scenarios, you can click on next. This gives you a worksheet to break down how you're going to pay for the college. And click next and you can get back to your data pages. And if I want to make any kind of changes, for example, the parent household information, number in college, click on edit and I can make a change. So what happens if my 13-year-old goes to college? How does that change the award? Next, go through, recalculate, look at the different scenarios, create what-if scenarios for yourself, see how the award changes. So in conclusion, the net price calculator is a great tool to help you determine your eligibility for need-based financial aid. If you have any questions as you're working with this calculator, feel free to give us a call in the office and good luck.